We are live.
Ooh,
Okay.
live.
Live. Okay. What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 2 of The Benchmark. Here with me, as always, is my good buddy Armin from Armin's Tech Talk. How are you?
Pretty good. What's going on, everybody?
So, we got some exciting news this week. A lot going on in the world of tech and games, particularly on the AMD side of things. How are you feeling about this week? A lot of cool stuff, huh?
Well, I can tell you, I spent 5 hours listening to AMD talk about all their stuff coming up, so I'm feeling pretty good.
Awesome. Well, tell you what, dude. Let's just jump right into it.
I like it.
All right, this is very exciting. AMD unveils 16-core Threadripper CPUs, the world's fastest for high-end desktops. 16 cores, 32 threads. I mean, what an animal. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. They didn't announce the speed yet, correct?
There's been rumors on what the speed is going to be for these chips, that this is going to be a line, not just this processor is going to fall under the Threadripper title, but we're talking all the way down to 10 cores, 20 threads. But I would assume that they are waiting to announce the rest of the line at Computex.
Yeah, which is just around the corner. But this thing, I just... of course, I just upgraded to the Ryzen 7 1700.
Man, I told you. I told you early on. Wait, just wait a little longer.
Just wait a little longer. Do I really need this thing?
No. Well,
Absolutely.
maybe.
Well, maybe, as the channel grows, as we start doing some more content, we might need this moving forward, but
It's
for the
4K
time,
ripping.
it's, you got that right. Ripping them threads. But
right out of Intel's decaying hands.
right of their grimy little fingers. The bastards. Yeah, so this thing is looking to be absolutely amazing. It's, from what I've been reading, it's probably going to be a better product than what Intel's bringing to the table.
Well, it certainly has more cores than what Intel's bringing to the table.
Yeah, for sure. And again, it remains to be seen the speed in which these are going to run.
Have you seen the rumors?
I have not seen any rumors on that. Could you just fill us in?
So the 16-core 32-thread, it's going to come in two, maybe three variants. I believe it's two variants, though.
Yep.
What they're calling 9 series.
Yep.
1998X and 1998. I'm sorry, my air conditioner just popped on. I don't know if you can hear that. It's warm here. The 1998X is going to be at 3.5 gigahertz base, and it's supposed to boost all the way up to 3.9 gigahertz with, I guess, 100 megahertz wiggle room. I think they're calling that frequency flexibility. I believe that's what AMD is calling it. So it is a possibility that this 16-core 32-thread monster will be a 4 gigahertz chip.
That is amazing.
It is. It really is.
And that's across all cores?
That's my understanding.
Okay. If that's true, if that's what they've achieved, I'm speechless. This thing is... what a jump in performance right there.
That's going to be a huge jump in performance. You figure that typically with Intel's offerings, what they have done in the past is that the more cores that they add on, they typically rock the clock speed back.
Right.
So you'll have The current generation of processor I'm running, it's a 5930K Intel Haswell chip,
Yep.
6 cores, 12 threads. It runs with a base of 3.5 gigahertz, a boost of 3.7 gigahertz. And of course, you go up from there. I believe that there was, I'm trying to remember what the other nomenclature was in that generation. I believe it went up to an 8-core chip was the next step up.
Okay.
And that was, I believe, 3.2 gigahertz to 3.5 gigahertz. And I believe that was the top of the stack in that generation. Of course, you moved up to the 6900 the very next year, and that runs at the same frequency as my chip does, but it actually had 2 more cores tacked onto it because Intel was able to improve the process, improve heat dissipation, and put the extra on there.
Yeah.
Now, what we have seen with the Ryzen chips throughout the reviews on YouTube, so whether it be Jay's 2 cents or yourself because you have a Ryzen chip, or Review Tech, Intel has proven, and you can find articles about this across the internet too. AMD has proven that they have very good cooling and heat dissipation on these processors. So if they are bringing that forward, I am not surprised that they are going to be able to hit this. One thing that I do think is impressive rumor is, of course, if you come down the stack a little bit, because this is going to be a very high priced chip. I don't know if it's going to be as high priced as the Intel Series 6950K, which that retailed for, I believe, $1,700 when it launched.
At launch, yeah, probably.
Yeah. But I wouldn't be surprised this is 1,200 or above.
Yeah, I would suspect it's probably going to be right around there. But I wouldn't be surprised if this dropped at $999.99 either. Just, I mean, that's,
I mean, I seriously have my doubts on that, considering the fact that the rumor, of course, with all this is that there's going to be a 14-core 28-thread chip that'll run actually at 4.1 gigahertz.
Okay.
So you lose the cores, but you lose the cores. You gain a little bit in the clock area, and that'll probably be the $1,000 $999 chip. The thing that concerns me is during the financial day, AMD made mention of, well, we're going to build premium products to play in the premium space, and to do that, we're going to increase our margins. Well, okay, increasing your margins is done in one of two ways. The mix of all your products that you bring out is changing, so there's more purchased at the high end than the low end, but at the same time, you're either decreasing the cost to produce, or you're passing production cost onto the consumer and raising the price, therefore giving you a wider margin. I think the latter is going to be the case with a lot of AMD's new products coming up, because they are very aware that this is a premium space.
That, I can't really disagree with that. That seems smart on their part. Stay very competitively priced in the kind of consumer chip market, with the Ryzen 5s, Ryzen 7, which are very well priced for what they are, and comparing it to their direct competition over at Intel. So that's going to be interesting to see where this comes out. Hopefully those not leaks, but those specs that came out as far in regards to speed, those are accurate. the 4
I'm,
gigahertz.
I'm hoping those are accurate. I mean, the second I get enough money, I'll plunk one down and buy this thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be doing, like I said, growing the channel, continuing to do videos, maybe moving into the 4K space.
Oh, I have so tried to render a few 4K games. So time consuming.
It's a
I mean,
beast.
even last night, I put something up that was a little bit more than 1080p. Now, mind you, it was 45-minute video, but that took a better part of 2.5 hours.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, it can take some time for sure, but this Threadripper chip, it's gonna save you some time.
Oh yeah, hopefully.
So, this brings us to some more AMD news. As you're gonna notice, this is a pretty heavy episode of AMD news.
Gotta love AMD.
AMD Radeon RX Vega, Nova, Eclipse, and Core reportedly launching June 5th, priced at $599, $499, and $399 respectively. Now, this news is extremely exciting, and it kind of goes hand in hand with our previous episode where we kind of made some price predictions, and I think I brought up the fact that I thought there was going to be 3 separate SKUs of the RX Vega, at least in the consumer space. It looks like if this report on WCCF Tech is correct, it looks like we were kind of right on the money, and it looks like we were kind of right on the money price-wise too. These prices that I'm seeing here are pretty much exactly what I expected to see, and I also expected to see, I don't know if these are code names that they dug up for these things or if they'll actually be called that, but the Nova, I'm assuming is the 599 chip, or card rather, that will go ahead and compete with NVIDIA's GTX 1080 Ti. And then our Eclipse is $499, which is going to compete with the 1080. And last but not least, the Core, the base model, $399, and that's going to go ahead and compete with the GTX 1070. Now, I think the most interesting thing to note here is it's a little confusing, and again, these aren't final. This isn't actual fact until they announce it. Let's take a look at these prices, okay? So we get the RX Vega Nova at $599 competing with the GTX 1080 Ti, okay?
Which is $699.
Which is $699. So you're getting a chip that we would assume will be on par or possibly exceed, depending on the title, a GTX 1080 or 1080 Ti, sorry, for $100 cheaper, right?
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. That's great for them, and I bet you their huge push is going to be for people to get this card, over the other ones, because when you get to these other ones, $499 and $399. I'm pretty sure the GTX 1080 received a price cut down to $500, correct?
Yeah, maybe even slightly below that.
Yeah. So, well, the Founders Edition cards are $499, and
Okay, yeah.
the partner cards are, they range. I've seen some as high as, $570, depending, on the factory overclock or cooling solution, etc.
I mean, this is slightly a little off the rails, but it was kind of interesting how that pricing structure changed from the original launch of Pascal to the refresh.
Yeah, that's true. But I guess what I'm trying to say with this in particular, and the Core as well at $399, that's the pricing of a Founders Edition 1070.
Right, but I mean, at the same time there too, unless the intention is to completely supplant Polaris RX 580, you really need to be careful how far down in price you go, or you're going to be knocking up against that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's just this in particular is interesting because we have the card that's going to compete with the 1080 coming in cheaper, or 1080 Ti coming in cheaper, but yet the one competing with the 1080 1070 is going to have price parity virtually. That's a little weird, but yeah, like you said, as we start moving down, we're eventually going to hit a point where we're hitting these Polaris chips and what they're capable of, and at their fairly low price point for what they can do. So I guess it makes sense. And I honestly, based off from seeing this report, seeing these reported prices, if they're pricing these things like this, I would have to assume that they are going to outperform their competitors at each price point.
I mean, you're either going to outperform or you're at least going to have performance parity. So NVIDIA's response would be one of two things. Would be rush Volta, or it would be drop the price of their cards to match.
Boy, oh boy, would that would rub me the wrong way.
Yeah, I mean, typically you don't see $100 price drop, but you might see $50 drop. Now, AMD also admitted during their financial day that they kind of made their bed. They concentrated on DX12 and Vulkan for their optimization efforts. And as good as those future APIs are, that is exactly what they are, future APIs. This is today. So even though you buy a graphics card in the hopes that it will get you through tomorrow, I mean, you're also looking to see what it can do for you today.
Yeah, that's a great point. The majority of the titles we're seeing right now, still mostly utilize DX11, the majority of titles.
Right.
So I guess to counterpoint that would be if this still has if these AMD cards still have parity at DX11, especially for this top end card being $100 cheaper, it's still a win, no matter how you cut it.
Of course it is. I mean, I think Dr. Sue, I think that's her name, Lisa Sue, said it great. AMD has nothing to lose.
That's a great point.
So, I mean, they are in a place where they don't have a lot of market share. They have sold off headquarter buildings. I mean, they rolled out their foundry because they did own. I think they owned Global Foundries at one point, or TSMC, one or the other. They actually had a controlling stake in that for many years. I believe they rolled that completely into its own thing years ago. They're talking about leapfrogging teams. I mean, they downsized a lot. I mean, they've done some smart things to streamline their business, but in the effort to do so, technologically, they fell behind. I mean, that's really indisputable at this point. I mean, since there was really a card that could compete with NVIDIA high-end, you're looking at the RX Fury? R-Fury?
I think it was the
Fury X.
R9 Fury X, I think.
Yeah, there you go. R9 Fury X. That was 2014?
Yeah.
2013?
Yeah. And don't even bring up the CPU market.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking Athlon X4. I mean...
Yeah, seriously.
Maybe something a little newer, but...
Yes, she's right. They don't have anything to lose. They only have goodwill to gain at this point, I think. I think they are weighing on people's patience with RX Vega because it's been teased and talked about for so long without like official confirmation, without it officially coming out.
Well, I mean, even though they're to allay your fears and your concerns, technically, as of yesterday, even though they kind of said this wasn't a paper launch, it really more or less is because they probably only have the one that's physically in their hand. They did release or will retail release at the second half of June RX Vega Frontier, which is a high-end Vega Pro card. I have no idea what the price is going to be on that yet.
Yeah.
Some people around the internet are speculating $3,000. I think that's too high. I don't think they can price for that.
That's crazy. I think that would be crazy. Yeah.
They are comparing that card directly against a Titan XP 2017 edition for anybody who's followed the drama of the NVIDIA Titan Pascal.
Yeah, and boy, was there a lot.
So they're comparing it against that. The I don't know, and that's an interesting thing that I will go into more detail over on my channel. But
yeah, I don't want to touch on that too much on here. I kind of wanted to stay focused on, probably the ones we're all going to be getting.
Right.
The gamers. We're going to be looking at these Vega chips on this webpage. But you're right.
Not the crazy people like me.
Not the crazy people like you. You are the minority, sir.
I know.
But just to finish that up, if what you read is true, $3,000, get out of here. Like, if they're comparing that to the Titan XP, which is $1,200.
Yeah.
That doesn't even compute.
No, well, it doesn't, and that's the funny thing about the Titan XP. It wasn't a gamer card. It was a gamer card. It wasn't a gamer card. I mean, who knows what the hell it is? Where this thing, I mean, I don't know. Maybe they're taking a note from that playbook. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe it's not.
I feel like they were a little more focused with announcing it. Opposed to NVIDIA, it's just like, you can play games on it and stuff, but it's not for you.
But it's not a gamer's card.
It's not for you. We have another card for you called the 1080 that you can buy. This one, they pretty much came out of the gate and were like, this is our pro card. I didn't personally watch that conference or financial conference. You did. Did they touch on gaming with this card at all?
Yes.
They did.
They did. They showed Sniper Elite 4 in 4K, I think.
Could have picked a better title, but sure, okay.
I think that was the title. I mean, I know it was a sniper game.
Why not? I mean, Prey just barely came out on PC, and right at the beginning of the game, boom. Here comes
AMD.
The AMD sign. Hello.
I mean, it's hard to say why they picked the titles that they do. Yeah. I mean, they did another benchmark for real-time light ray tracing, which is a game thing.
Right. Okay. So they did touch on it. So yeah, I guess I'm wrong. They also have mixed messaging. Now, what would be realistic is if this card launched at $1,000.
I could possibly see that. I mean, as I said, they are comparing it to the XP. There is another card out there which does sit specifically in the pro market that the XP is based off from. That's the P6000. That is a several $1,000 card.
Right.
This card does not beat the P6000 in performance, but it does beat the Titan XP. So I would expect them to play closer to the XP in pricing than that
Right.
P6000.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I'm at. And again, they did announce two separate models, one with liquid cooling, one on air. So, you know, we could probably expect at least $100 difference between those SKUs.
Right. And I mean, I guess the other thing to note here is that they are calling this the Radeon RX Vega Frontier. They're not calling it the Radeon Pro, which is a separate line of graphics cards that AMD uses more for pro experiences for developers.
Yep.
So, once again, that kind of muddles the message. And then, of course, the instinct stuff is the deep learning. I mean, they did clearly differentiate those cards like AMD, or excuse me, NVIDIA, get the right company, has,
Get it together, Armand.
right? I mean, they have GeForce, and then they have Tesla, and then they have, oh, geez, what is, I can't think of what the name of the
Quattro.
P100 is.
Quattro.
Yeah, Quattro, that's it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so that's the thing. RX Vega Frontier was announced yesterday. I wasn't going to bring it up, but I knew it naturally would come up with this article. But yeah, this is really exciting news. I think those prices look fair. I think it's going to match up well against their competitors, and yeah, I think AMD's making some smart decisions.
I do want to bring up one other thing,
Yeah.
and of course that's down at the bottom of the chart. They are saying a June 5th tentative launch date for the RX cards. I would assume that to be a paper launch, but we should hear more at Computex, which AMD
Right.
does have an event on the 31st of May.
Yeah, we can definitely surmise that they're gonna unveil these puppies then.
Blow the lid off.
Oh, Lisa Sue is gonna come out ninja kicking people.
Ninja, really? All right.
I don't think that was racist.
I don't. I mean,
I mean,
nah.
no, that was fine. Anyway, moving
I
right
mean,
along.
she just gonna come out, man. She's gonna hold that car up and say, "Vegas now."
She is such a badass. I like her a lot.
I do. Actually, I might like her more than Jensen.
Yeah, I think she's a little more polarizing. Yeah, I agree. Okay, so let us move on to our final piece of AMD news. I promise.
Are you sure?
For today, yes.
Okay, I'm getting AMD fatigue.
Hey, you can blame AMD for just being awesome and dominating headlines recently. So, this article, Intel reportedly strikes a deal with AMD to license graphics IP. Now, I don't know that this really has any bearing on gaming or tech or anything like that, but I just thought it was kind of a interesting little article because previously Intel had an agreement with NVIDIA, and they kind of kicked them to the curb in favor of AMD. Now, to be fair, Intel's deal with NVIDIA was based off from using it to not get into a lawsuit. So there was that. That's what started the whole thing. But basically, what I kind of gathered from this article was that it's a way for them to, with the CPU and GPU, like production, R&D, all that good stuff, you might cross someone's patent, like someone else's idea. And to avoid any unpleasant lawsuits, you kind of you make a truce, you make a pact, and that's what appears to have happened here between AMD and Intel. And I think you had mentioned before we went live here they can also use some of AMD's graphics tech.
So let me step back here for just a moment.
Yep.
So the original deal between Intel and Nvidia was actually to settle a already in process lawsuit, which was happening. Intel over the last several years paid out $1.5 billion to Nvidia to settle the lawsuit, quash any claims and not get sued again.
Right.
So moving over to this new deal, there are possibilities that so right now the architecture is going to probably be based a little bit more in the NVIDIA side of things, hence why NVIDIA sued Intel to begin with.
Right.
However, moving forward, if there's a deal in place, AMD and Intel are no strangers to cross-licensing. They are no strangers to sharing technology. AMD licensed x86 off from Intel. Intel has to license x64 off from AMD.
Right.
So, going forward like that, if you have this deal in place, one, it looks good for AMD's bottom line, but at the same time, let's face it, the Intel onboard GPUs are not exactly setting the world on fire. I mean, Intel does make advances year on year on year, but so don't the discrete graphics cards. And let's face it, that's where most of the money is. Even though AMD does have its own APU line, I don't believe those APUs are very high margin for that company. So why not get a little extra kickback, a little extra money to license out some of their technologies and some of their patents for Intel to put on board of their chips? Now, if they figured the deal right, AMD is going to get a little bit of a cut of all those chips sold. Intel sells a lot of chips.
Yeah.
I mean, bags and bags and bags of chips.
Tasty chips.
The tastiest.
Not anymore.
So, true, they're getting a little stale. But they still do sell a lot of chips, no matter what way you decide to look at it. And so, for a business point of view, this makes a lot of sense from AMD. For Intel, if they maybe could get a cheaper deal out of AMD, maybe they can get more direct access to technologies that they hadn't been able to use previously, or even dabble in areas and IPs that NVIDIA wasn't willing to share. And, as I said, there's more of a probably technological slant to this time around, because this isn't involving a current lawsuit already in place. So
right, starting on friendlier terms. And like you said before, Intel and AMD, although the most bitter of enemies, are also no strangers to playing together. So it's interesting. I just thought it was a cool little piece of info. Yet again, AMD kind of just sticking it to NVIDIA a little bit with all these just little things, just prodding them. Like, hey,
we're still here.
We're still here, baby. We ain't going anywhere. And we got nothing to lose. And if there's anything that you should take away from this, is an opponent with nothing to lose is
the most dangerous point.
Oh, yeah. So, that's pretty damn neat. All right, so moving on to some games-related news. NPD came out. Nintendo Switch was best-selling system in April. MK8 Deluxe, the best-selling game. Well, Armin, Nintendo's got themselves a little hit on their hands, I think.
I mean, it's possible. I own one, but I'm still not I'm still not 100% sold. I mean, once we start nearing the Wii U, those sales numbers as a total, I'll be more convinced.
Now, it's been a while, but if I'm not mistaken, the Wii U did not enjoy this kind of love in the press, and I don't even think they enjoyed these kinds of numbers at their launch.
The first couple months, I believe they actually did fairly well for launch. I mean, not as well as Nintendo was expecting, but not abysmal.
And then afterward, literally no one bought one after that.
Pretty much.
Like a single soul.
If people are still buying these in droves come October, November, getting into Christmas, then I think they've got a hit on their hands.
Yeah.
If you can't find these at Christmas, they've got a hit on their hands.
I gotta be honest with you. Still don't have one. Okay? Still waiting for the whole GameStop shenanigans to end. Stop
Good luck with
bundling.
that.
Stop bundling stuff, for the love of God. Just let us buy a freaking system.
Well, you know why they do that, dude? Margins.
We know your company is dying. We know you gotta cram stuff down our throat. But I tell you what, I'm stubborn. And I'm going to wait until you can sell me that single console. And I am not going to buy your crappy, overpriced micro SD card and your crappy third-party case that I don't even need or want. Okay? Anyway.
GameStop, your days are numbered.
Your days are numbered. Good thing you bought ThinkGeek, you dummies. Anyways. So, I honestly... I'm not sure. Maybe the original Wii, okay? I'm not sure I've ever seen this level of pandemonium. Like, as soon as stores are getting these babies, they're gone. They're immediately gone.
Oh, can I tell you stories about the Wii?
Those were your GameStop days, weren't they?
Oh, they were.
Yep. I was in Florida, man, and I was walking around a Best Buy. I had zero intentions of buying one of these freaking things, right? And I go into this Best Buy. I forget which... I can't remember what store. Doesn't matter. Anyway, so I walk in the store, and they got one left on the shelf. And I'm like, I don't even want this, but...
I'm going to tackle it anyway.
They're so rare. I'm buying this thing. So I did. And instead of selling it right off like I should have, I held on to it. I bought some games, like, what the hell was that game? SingStar or something like that.
Oh, good.
Terrible. I did get Resident Evil 4, which was good. Twilight Princess, that was okay. I don't know what else I got. But anyway,
So basically you bought games you could have played on the GameCube.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
So, and then I sold it shortly after, and I did make a profit on it, but it appears to me like that's kind of happening again. I don't know. I think. I'm not saying this thing's gonna sell as well as the Wii, because I don't know that anything ever will.
No, I mean, very few consoles have sold that many units in their lifetime. I mean, do I think it will sell well? Yeah, I think it's got potential. I wouldn't say... I mean, I think the software lineup, even if we're porting over, is stronger than the Wii software lineup was. I mean, the Wii software lineup in a lot of cases was just shovelware.
Yeah.
I mean, they saw that people who never played games were buying this thing, and they're like, okay, how can we make some quick crap that we can throw onto this thing and people will buy it because they think it's like a Wii Sports lookalike?
Well, that's just it. Yeah. Oh, Granny bought this? Oh, she likes that cute little mini game? Well, let's give her a Carnival collection.
Right.
For $59.99.
Oh, you're bringing up nightmares.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, so, I mean, Mario Kart 8, yes, a Wii U. Now, I don't know. Let's go back to the Wii U for just a second.
Yep.
Wii U did not have a terrible library, but the Wii U marketing message was so muddled, it was so messed up that people thought it was an add-on to the Wii for the longest time.
Y-
I mean, they would have been better to call it Swee. And
d-
be,
Dear God, man.
why? I mean, hey, they did it with the NES.
Yeah,
It
that's
was
true.
SNES.
Super Wii. Um, Boy. No, okay, so I'm of two minds of what you just said.
Well, I'm not even done.
Oh no. Well, let me just get this out then. Was the Wii U library terrible? Absolutely not. They had some phenomenal games on there. Mario Kart. I even like Mario Party, for God's sake. I know.
How about 3D Mario World?
Mario World. There you go. Um, um, it's just so many good games. Smash Brothers. Um, and they even finally got Minecraft over there, which was pretty big for them. I think it was something that was missing off from their consoles, I think. But yeah, but the gaps between those first party games were so large, and the
Oh, yeah, they
third
were.
party support was so non-existent that even though it had that good library of first party games, arguably the best library of first party games, uh, it just, what a piece of junk. Like, and that's precisely why, and this kind of proves the point, a ported game in Mario Kart 8 is the best selling game of the month.
Yeah. I mean,
Because no
I think
one.
a lot of people. I mean, I don't know. It's a little difficult considering it's still early days of the system, so people are going to grab anything that's really coming out. So, I mean, if you've sold a few million a few million Switches, then yeah, I mean, the last first party game that came out was Zelda.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I think if they can keep it on a monthly cadence, a semi-monthly cadence, I think it should be. I think we should be good. Um, when that game come out, it came out the tail end of April.
What's that?
Mario Kart 8,
Yeah, I think it was April 20 something, maybe.
28th.
Yeah, that sounds about right. So yeah,
Do they have a first party game scheduled for May?
actually, hang on a second. Let me look this up. I know it's kind of terrible to do online here. Y'all can watch me do it.
That's okay. You can edit it out.
Nah, that's okay. We're gonna go in raw, baby.
Oh, wow. All right.
Yep. Okay, so got Switch here. Mario Kart now available.
Oh.
Better give me a release day. Of course, it's not going to. I don't see it. Am I missing it?
Wow.
Bow, bow, bow.
Because for them, maybe it's June, but for some reason I thought Arms was next.
Yeah. I just read something about that before we started looking. Huh. Well, anyway. It was in April. It wasn't the beginning of April, and it still wound up being the best selling game of the month. So
Right.
I kind of think that speaks volumes to the amount of people that didn't play this game because they didn't have a freaking Wii U to play it on. So
Yeah.
yeah, all of this I'm seeing right here is positive. I know it's still early, but before this thing came out, I seriously questioned if this is what the market wanted. If this is what people wanted. Because to me, it almost seemed like, oh God, here they go again. They're doing another niche system. Nintendo doing their own special thing.
Nintendo doing their own thing? Come on. I don't believe you.
And I was like, I honestly don't know that we're at a point in time anymore where people want that. You know?
Yeah.
I I'm getting it because I love Nintendo. I love their, first-party games. Those are the ones I grew up with. But I was a little nervous before this came out. So to see back-to-back months, really good success, and to see a ported game from previous generation be the top-selling game of the month, and it not even coming out at the beginning of the month, or at the beginning of the month. That's good. Oh, it's right here in the article. Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. We are dumb. April 28th, right there, right in the article.
So, what are you considering a big launch? Are you just talking first party stuff for the Switch, or are you considering third party in here as well?
As far as what?
Big title release.
A big title release. If it's a good third party game, what are you looking at?
I am currently looking at Nintendo's release calendar on their official website.
Okay. What comes out in May? Anything?
Let's see. For May, let's see. Just looking for the Switch stuff directly. May 18th, we have ACA, Neo Geo, Galaxy Fight, Universal Warriors. We have, let's see what else. We have Thumper.
People seem to like that.
I don't even know what that is.
I've heard them talk about it on, I think it was Giant Beast Cast.
Okay.
But, yeah.
We have Disgaea 5 complete.
Mm-hmm. Not my thing.
We have Ultra Street Fighter 2, the final challengers.
Uh-huh.
I can tell you, sir, are right on top of this. This is amazing for you.
I played Street Fighter 2 on PC way back when I was a kid, so much. I don't even know.
I remember when I played that in the arcade. So yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, fantastic game, and I don't want to play that again.
Oh, come on.
And I believe it's $40. I am not paying $40 for a 25-year-old game.
Hey, I got a release date for ARMS for you.
Okay, hit me.
June 16th.
Oh, okay.
So it looks like Nintendo is operating on a month and a half window for dropping titles.
I tell you what, if they continue that trend and they're able to keep that up, they're gonna do very well with this.
Yeah, because supposedly Splatoon 2 drops July 21st.
Perfect. Back-to-back months with large releases. Now I say large releases. The only reason I say ARMS is a large release is because the Nintendo's been touting it as such. So whether or not
it's
people
Nintendo
buy
first
it,
party.
That remains to be seen. But it looks neat. But I don't know. Now Splatoon 2. Did you play the original Splatoon?
No.
You didn't. It was actually a really novel idea and really fun. My stepson Hayden played it, and he loved it. He loved that game, even though it was a little weird in a Japanese sense. It had some quirks that were Japanese and definitely influenced the design of the game, but he still really enjoyed playing that game. So kids and adults alike.
And I don't mean to be reductive to that statement, but we have a mutual friend who would claim that is the market Nintendo is trying to play to.
Children?
Yes.
I would agree with that too. Yeah, of course they're, Nintendo is what some would consider a toy company when you hear that. I think that's kind of ingrained in people's heads, but with Splatoon in particular, yeah, I'm the games media. Those guys ate it up and really enjoyed it. I played it. I really enjoyed it. As an adult, it was actually a good third-person shooter. Whether or not you like the aesthetic is
Yeah, that's I
your
mean
own.
that's another story
Yeah,
altogether.
that's your preference. But as a game, it was really good. And yeah, I don't know. So
I mean,
another one on the Switch that you can play on the go. Awesome.
yeah. Actually, one last comment here, and I don't know. I'm looking at this and thinking this is oddly strange. Payday 2 is coming to the Switch.
Really?
That's what it says on Nintendo's website. Winter 2017.
That okay. That's a really odd one. But hey,
It's
third
yeah,
party
that
stuff.
seems to be way outside the wheelhouse.
They need third party games.
Oh, they do.
I don't know that Payday's where I would have gone, but a lot of
I
people
don't know
love.
if it is either, but
Dude, a lot of people really enjoy that game. So I actually bought it on the Steam sale this. God, was it the winter Steam sale or spring?
Mhm.
I bought Payday, and I am not good at it. I don't fully understand it, and the guys I was playing with were so toxic, and I gotta be honest, they were kind of douchebags. They're like, "Oh, why aren't you doing this way?" I was like, "Probably because I never played this freaking game before." So yeah, after that, I kind of lost interest. They made it not fun to learn. But
Yeah,
anyway,
I mean, I don't know. I've never played it. I'm just looking at random titles here to see what's actually confirmed coming to the system.
yeah.
And the really last question, and I'll let us move on from Nintendo. Does anybody care about Sonic anymore?
I was just taking a drink. I almost spit it on the screen. That's a great question.
I mean, they've got 2 Sonic games coming to the Switch, supposedly this year.
I
Um, there's Sonic
I
Mania, which I don't know if that's what all the classic games or
I
if it's
I couldn't even tell you. I don't follow Sonic. But I
okay.
gotta say, when I was a kid, I really enjoyed playing Sonic games. I thought they
Oh
were fun.
yeah, I love that. I love the first. Actually, you know what? 3 is my favorite. I'm like in the minority there. Um,
Yeah,
didn't care much for 2. 1 was awesome. Sonic and Knuckles was middling.
yeah.
Sonic Spinball, everybody. That's where it's at.
That was
Best pinball game you can ever get.
pretty solid. Do people care about Sonic in today's world?
I think that is our answer right there.
Kind of like a fart in a whirlwind.
Yeah.
That's Sonic the Hedgehog these days. That's probably accurate.
That's just sad.
It is sad. No, yeah, I'm not sure. I think they still sell well enough for them to warrant making these things, but at the same time, we're never going to get a good one because they don't sell enough for them to
I don't know.
invest that much energy into one.
I just don't think they know how to make them anymore. I don't think there's anybody left there that knows how to make them.
You know what? I just don't think Sonic ever really translated to the 3D space the way Mario did.
No, yeah, I mean they tried to exact speed, and it didn't work.
Yeah. But no, to answer your question,
No.
I personally don't care about a new Sonic game, but I'm sure there's someone out there that does. And good for them. You should enjoy what you enjoy. And that's about all I have to say about Sonic.
And you can send your hate mail to
Armand at Armand's Tech Talk. All right, so that brings us to the tail end of the episode. And I don't know how often I'm going to touch on TV or movies on this channel. We're still in the infancy stage of the channel. It'll kind of morph or change depending on what you guys want to see and my interest as well. But this next article kind of touches both the game world and the TV movie realm as well. So, today, the Witcher-based Netflix series in the works, first director is announced as well. To me, Armin, I am so excited for this. I cannot even put it into words. I am a huge Witcher fan. The Witcher 3 was one of the best games I have ever played in terms of graphics, in terms of gameplay, and in terms of story. So much so that I actually finally went and researched the novels that these games were based off from. And I actually purchased the first book ever released in this universe. It's a collection of short stories. And it looks to be like Netflix is going to be producing a show that's based off from these novels, these short stories, and later on they actually turned into a novel series. It doesn't look to me like, and looks like that's been confirmed per the article, that CD Projekt Red will have anything to do with this Netflix series. However, I believe one of the game's cutscene directors is actually on tap to direct a couple of episodes across the season.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, so they may not directly be involved, but it does seem like Netflix is trying to get people that are close to the series to kind of bring it to life. I just think that this is... I'm like a giddy little schoolgirl right now. It just blows me away. I never thought that we were going to see something like this. The Witcher is so obscure and the story's so deep. I just was like, nah, Americans wouldn't touch that. Like, it's just...
I wouldn't say that.
Now, there's potential here for this to be an epic failure. If they dumb it down enough, I wouldn't like that. Like, judging by the people involved and stuff like that, I don't think that's going to happen, but to placate to a larger audience, we might see that. But
So,
I'm going to remain optimistic, sir.
well, I mean, I think you should remain optimistic. And let me, with you in the audience, let me get a little intimate here.
Oh, Jesus.
So, with the Witcher series, you have a lot of intrigue, whether it's the world and the monsters, but you also have a romanticized, in some ways, medieval setting. Now, 10, 15 years ago, I don't think that would have worked for American television. I mean, clearly because CBS, NBC, ABC, definitely not PBS, would have tried to do something like this. But now that you have a Netflix type of entity involved, and with the success of the Game of Thrones, you've really opened up a diversification. You've opened up a world, and you've seen now that people are interested in it. I mean, just a week or so ago, HBO tasked 4 different teams of writers, 2 writers per team, maybe more, to come up with 4 different spin-off ideas for the Game of Thrones. So to continue in that world. Now, even though this isn't something that's set in that world, this is in some ways similar. So I think that this is Netflix's way to try and do something similar but different, and to be able to have a different dynamic in it.
Yeah. By the way, all our lady viewers, watch out. Armin got real up close and intimate right there. Uh, um, yeah, I agree with you. I think that's a good way of looking at it. You know, with the success of Game of Thrones, another relatively obscure medieval themed show, this could succeed.
Oh yeah, very much so.
Oh, it looks like Armin's video has frozen. Oh, he's back. He's
Oh,
back. He was too
hey,
sexy for the camera, and it
hey.
freaking froze. It couldn't keep up.
It couldn't take it.
Oh my gosh. But yes, anyway, I'm super excited for this. I think this is some of the coolest news I've ever seen. I love Netflix original shows. I think they do a great job. They give them what seems to be a pretty generous budget for most of these shows. Um, I think this probably has a little bit to prove as far as what its numbers are going to do. So they'll probably middle of the road budget on this one. Just to you don't want to undercut it and make it seem cheesy.
Here's cheesy and completely in the other direction. Can't be any worse than that trailer CBS Access just dropped for Star Trek Online or Star Trek Discovery.
Oh yes, as a large Star Trek fan as yourself, it sounds like you're not liking that. I haven't actually watched it yet, so I can't chime in. But also, I am the wrong guy to talk to anyone about Star Trek because I am not really a fan. I don't hate it, but I also...
Did you like the new movies?
Let me go ahead and say this. Those new movies are amazing. So...
Then you may like this.
Oh, well, I'll have to go ahead and check that out then.
All I'm saying is I'm not feeling it, but anybody who got brought on board with the JJ verse, you may really like it.
Hey man, I loved JJ Verse. What he did, he took Star Trek and those cool characters, and he made a Star Wars movie with them.
And I hated every minute of it.
Oh, so good, man.
Let me qualify. I didn't hate every minute of it, but 1 and 3 are the better two of those 3 movies.
Really? I like 2 a lot.
No.
Oh yeah, baby. Con.
Anyway, we could have this argument all night.
That's a whole nother issue. But again, I just wanted to go ahead and say, I don't know how much we're going to touch on movies or TV on this, but if anything kind of crosses over into the games or tech world or something I just want to talk about, you can listen to it right here on the old Technotronica podcast, The Benchmark. Well, Armin, I think that's it for us today.
I think it is.
You got anything else to add before we head out?
The only thing I really got to add is everybody, come on over to Armin's Tech Talk. Take a look. Tell me if you like it. Leave, of course, comments below. I'd love to reply to comments. I love criticism. I can take it and run with it. So, and I guess here's the challenge is, I know because you're talking, maybe we'll touch on this. If I can reach 100, 150 subscribers, I have been talking with somebody about maybe doing a movie and television show.
Very awesome. I'm sure a lot of people would like to see that, including myself. Also, over on Armin's channel, Armin's Tech Talk, there will be a link down in the description for this channel. We went ahead and filmed a very long E3 predictions video that Armin is releasing in parts over on his channel.
Oh, it's got to be in parts.
With Armin's good buddy Chris Holdsworth, formerly of EGM and currently of Atlas. We recorded a really good conversation about E3, about all the main press conferences, and even some predictions as well. So yeah, please go over to Armin's channel and check that out. Yeah, again, I am Nate. You can find me on Twitter at Nate M. Spears. This has been The Benchmark Episode 2, and we will catch you next time.